Good evening, everyone. Welcome to PE Geeks Unite version 1.2 Google Hangout. I got a bunch of great PE geeks here to discuss some hot topics in PE, but the first thing is we'd like to introduce ourselves. So my name is Adam Howell. I've been teaching for 5 years in Oregon. I teach at the middle level, grades 6 through 8, and my Twitter handle is the Dumb Jock Myth. So that's me. Who's next?
Bryce.
Okay, yeah. Hi, I'm Bryce Gaselny. I'm teaching in Nipawin, Manitoba. I've been teaching for 8 years, and I'm teaching grade 10 right now, with a little bit of classroom to do. My Twitter is at Bryce Koss.
Yeah, I'll jump in next. My name is Dan Myers. I teach at Innaborough School District, which is right outside of Philadelphia. I teach in the K-8 building, and this is my second year teaching.
All right. I'm Matt Pomeroy. I teach 7th and 8th grade Phi Ed and health at Merton Intermediate School, which is kind of just between Madison and Milwaukee in Wisconsin. So this is my 9th year teaching there, and about 3 years now on Twitter, 3 of the best years of my life. So.
I'm Blue Jay Bridge. I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'm just a couple hours away from Bryce, and I've been teaching for 12 years at Henry G. Izat Middle School, and yeah, it's very cool making this connection with you guys.
All right, I guess I'm next. I'm Nick Endlick. I teach K-6 Health and Phys Ed in York, Pennsylvania. This is my 8th year in that spot. And again, going on what Matt had said, this is almost 2 years now that I've been on Twitter and definitely made some great connections and want to keep learning a lot.
Alright, hi guys. I'm Nicole Myers, and I've only been teaching. I'm in my first year, so I'll be the rookie of the crew, listening a lot. So I would teach out in Wilmington, Delaware, at a 3 to 8 building. It's a charter school for learning disabilities, so I'm a little bit out of the gen ed population, but it's, you know, pretty neat building.
Well, welcome one and all. It's good to do this. And as a side note, we got a lot of hockey fans in the house tonight, don't we?
Yeah.
Go Jets, go.
Go Jets, go, yeah. It's not going so well tonight. I think it's 6-1 last time I checked in for the bad guys.
Yeah, I think so.
Philly lost too.
Oh, there you go. So we're all
No bueno.
better for us to be here then.
Taking a look at our agenda here, one of the things we did, you probably saw on the Twitter feed, that we posted out an agenda for people to identify topics they were interested in. So far and away, the most interested topic people wanted to talk about tonight was grading in PE. And so I think we're going to tackle this in several ways tonight, just to kind of get an idea of what everyone's philosophy is, what's best practice, what is, how can we make grading relevant, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I think what I'd like to do is just kind of throw it around the horn a little bit about what your philosophy in grading is and how you've kind of come to that. Those ideas in the classroom with PE. So let's see, we'll just go left to right, so I'll throw out to Bryce. Start off with you. You're on the hot seat, bud.
Oh, here we go. We tried to develop a rubric that meets all the provincial GLOs and SLOs, which are general learning outcomes and specific learning outcomes. So what I try and do is unit by unit, day by day, assess the kids to the rubric as best I can. I try and use peer assessment, self-evaluations as well, which shows that the kids are gaining understanding of what they're doing and hopefully making some curriculum connections on their own. It's a work in progress for the last 8 years. When I started in Nipawin, there was 2 of us that were first-year teachers, so we've just been trying to do what we can to develop something that we think works for us and is meaningful.
And you're at the you're at the high school level right now, or are you doing middle?
High school, yeah.
High school.
High school predominantly 9 to 12. This year I'm just focusing on 10.
And what are the requirements at your school for graduation for people? Just curious.
They have to have a credit in grade 9 through 12 each year.
Oh, that's great. That's more than what we had, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and actually our school doubles the requirement in 9 and 10, so our kids get double phys ed in grades 9 and 10, and then they meet the provincial requirement in 11 and 12.
Excellent. So, is there anyone else in the room that's high school? I'm pretty sure Bryce is the only one. I think the rest of us are middle level and elementary, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Matt? I'll throw it to you. What do you have? You've been going for 8 years. What do you got going on in Wisconsin with grading?
Well, we're pretty much a standards-based grading, school, so we follow Wisconsin state standards. But honestly, our daily grade is kind of focused mainly on effort. I mean, that's kind of one of the main things that we look at. We just push for, we want good effort. We want good effort. But our high school that our kids end up going to, so I'm 7-8. So the high school that they go to, they follow the core values. And so we kind of grade a daily basis on the core values, which is honesty and respect and communication, openness to diversity and work ethic. So that's a part of their daily grade, along with, we kind of push to change. And we do give daily points just to change, just to kind of have them prepared. But that's really our main focus, is just the core values, being prepared for class, being ready and putting forth good effort. And then, like I say, along with, then we kind of add our state standards to specific units or whatever it is that we're doing. Again, a lot of peer assessment, a lot of self-assessment. I'm not a big test guy. I mean, I kind of feel like with 39-minute classes, when you start giving out tests, it just takes a whole class period, and then it takes another whole class period to kind of cover it again. So I kind of shy away from some of those, and we focus on a little more of that in health class. But mainly Phy Ed is effort, effort, effort. Add a little bit of skills and a little bit of fitness. We kind of hit some of those fitness tests. So that's kind of our main deal.
Yeah, that's sounds good. What about you? What about you, Blue? Going up there in Manitoba as well. What do you get going on? I know you've been going for 12 years at your middle school, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the first school that I started at, so I've just been at this one school for my whole career. And you know what? Our testing is quite varied. Our assessment, we generally assess out of rubrics of 4. Where 1 out of 4 is a pass, 50 to 60% kind of a range. 2 is 60 to 75%, 3 is 70 to 80, 2, 3, 4 is some professional judgment there, and then a 4 shows a kind of a mastery level is the idea behind it. And so we do that out of 4 rubric for our curricular outcomes. All the assessments that we do are outcome-based, and we will do those will all be teacher evaluations. We will do peer evaluations, but those will just be for learning, not towards someone's report card. With the thinking, the idea being that if I am someone's peer, we're both in grade 7, grade 8, and if I'm peer evaluating the basketball shot and the beef technique, I don't yet have the ability, the training to, although I've done some of the lessons and I've have some of the understanding to truly evaluate someone's basketball shooting technique to the point that evaluation should be a part of their report card. So we will do it as part of the learning, but it won't be a part of their reporting piece. We also, as Matt was talking about getting changed, we also encourage getting changed. It's not necessarily a requirement, but we will certainly obviously talk about personal hygiene and the reasons why you should be getting changed. And another thing I wanted to mention, Matt was speaking about writing tests and how that takes away from activity time, and that's a concern of ours as well. So we've begun to put our unit tests online using a website called TestMoz, testmoz.com. And actually, I just gave my kids our fitness theory test today, and then they have throughout the weekend, whenever they have an opportunity to do that test. So it's something they do outside of our class. The test is still there. The information remains on our Weebly, and that way we're not using up potential activity time to still get an evaluation done.
Yeah, that sounds pretty comprehensive. I like, you mentioned dressing down, and I just, I borrowed something from you this week. My sixth graders, I put the first 4 who dressed down the quickest were able to choose the opening activity for our fitness activity of the day. So I saw that on your blog, and I was like, I got to take that. So that was good.
That's right. That's my brand new teaching partner. She's actually just in her first year, but she brought that idea to our school, to our program, and I mean, it's fantastic for sure. It makes perfect sense. And it's funny how sometimes when you get someone with brand new, fresh blood to bring that kind of idea to you, and go, yeah, I can't believe I never thought of that. But yeah, that's exactly what we should be doing. It makes perfect sense.
True story. Absolutely. So I guess I'll speak next a little bit about what we do at our middle school, 6-8. I've had a love-hate relationship with grading for the past 5 years. So it's not. I've never really found the true way to make it relevant and meaningful yet. We do a daily point system. My teaching partner does. I've started to kind of move a little bit away from that. I've done kind of unit points. So they're getting a grade for the unit. And we do a lot of self-reflection, do a lot of peer evaluation, do a lot of goal setting. And then I tie that into some heart rate checks. We have heart rate monitors that we do for all our fitness assessments. So students, over the course of a unit, over 3 weeks, they'll get 2 heart rate checks during fitness activities, and we're looking for it above, 140 or above 150, whatever it is that day. If they're good to go, they're green, and they get their fitness credit for the unit. So I would be interested in kind of moving more towards standards-based, that kind of thing, and competency-based. I don't necessarily know how that looks in PE. I'm kind of struggling with that. I know we had a great discussion on Twitter a little bit today about effort and about is effort something that should be graded or not. I think it's really tough to objectify effort, and that's the problem. I struggle with my own perception driving my grading, so I try to be as objective as possible with whatever I'm trying to measure. So that's kind of where I've come from and where I'm going anyway. So for me anyway. So who else is middle school? Nicole, are you middle school or are you elementary?
We're a 3-8 building, but I take care of most of the elementary, and my coworker does the middle school, but we team teach, so I'm there for all the classes. But we're kind of the same as Matt. We go a lot on effort. We're a fitness-based curriculum, not a sport curriculum, so we see every kid every day. And our main thing is to get the kids wanting to be active and know the fitness aspect of being healthy. So we do a daily points system as well, and I think we're at the point now we know each kid individually and what they're capable of, so that's how we kind of assess their effort and what we do as far as our grade. And we also, the school has a point system as their discipline. They call it 1, 2, 3 magic, and basically, you count the kid to 1 as a warning, letting them know that they're off kilter and they need to get back, on task. And basically, if they get to a 3, they have to take a 5-minute break. And anytime they get counted or we have to stop class to count them, we're deducting a point. It's 10 points a day. You know, the most I could get taken away is 5 points. So we're kind of along that route right now, especially me with the elementary kids. It doesn't work as well with the middle school guys because it's kind of, you know, elementary for them. So we're still struggling on how we're handling the middle school kids and how all that goes. But that's basically where we are, very similar as to what Matt does.
What about you, Nick? You've got your elementary too. What do you do for grading?
This is actually the first year that I've had to grade. I taught K through 4 previous to this year, and we didn't grade at all. This year I'm now doing adding 5th and 6th grade, and with that addition, have to grade for health and for phys ed. I have a classroom set of heart rate watches. So during our different activities, at least once or twice during class, I have the students stop, check their heart rates, you know, in groups or individually. They'll either write it on the board or report it to me. And what I did is I just took an average of their heart rates. And, you know, like you said, if their average heart rate was above, you know, 140, 150, you know, we're also a standards-based grading, so it's, you know, proficient, advanced proficient, and that's mostly what I use was their participation, their effort based on their heart rates, some skill assessment, but not so much skill. I'm more worried, are they coming in, are they working hard, are they being active? And that's pretty much how I primarily did it for the phys ed side. Health, they did projects, so I had a rubric based on their project, and you know, it was pretty much how I graded their project. It was based on their, you know, that rubric, and that was pretty much their marking period.
Yeah, I think one of the common things that I'm hearing here, everyone's saying, is we're talking a lot about effort. We're talking about self-assessment, peer assessment, rubrics. So clearly, I think we've got a pretty good idea of what we've got for best practice going on here. Danny, what about you? What do you do in the classroom for grading?
I'm middle school as well, mostly 6th grade and 8th grade. Basically, every kid starts with 100%, and my grade is based off of participation, sportsmanship, and preparation, making sure they're dressed. We don't have locker rooms at my school, so the kids basically all they have to do is wear sneakers. We do have a school uniform, so that takes care of the clothing that they wear. But basically sneakers, as long as they can remember to wear their sneakers, then they're good on that. I think most of us can speak to the biggest battle that I have, at least with the 8th grade, is attitude and trying to get them to buy in to participate. So if students lose points, 9 times out of 10 is for sportsmanship or participation based on their attitude. For standards, basically we do what everybody has already said. We basically have our units and then match our standards to each unit. And we teach the PA state standards.
And is that what's you're teaching in Philadelphia, or are you in?
Yeah, I'm in a school district. I'm like 5 miles from Philadelphia.
Okay. One book that I know came out recently, I think Joe Bailey mentioned it online. I found out about it through her, and I downloaded it on my Kindle, was Meeting Physical Education Standards Through Meaningful Assessment. Research-based strategies for secondary teachers. So it's written by 2 teachers up in the state of Washington, and I've gotten through about half of it. I would suggest it to anyone who's interested in grading or assessment in PE. It's very much, they are unbelievably organized with assessing everything. I don't know if I agree fully with everything they're doing, but I think it's definitely a good discussion when it comes to best practice. Has anyone else read that book or heard of it?
No.
I've heard of it.
I am going to get a link for you somewhere. I'm going to post it in the chat, so if you want to check it out, you can. one question I want to throw out to the group is the one that kind of sits with me always when I'm asking myself these questions about grading and PE is it possible to make grading relevant to the ultimate goal? Which, I mean, the ultimate goal that we all have is creating lifelong movers. So how the heck do we connect grading to that, or how do we make it relevant? I don't know who wants to take it, but I'll just throw it out there.
Blue, you're the veteran.
Okay. I think the way that you make your evaluation relevant, first of all, is by making it real, so realistic. I was talking about basketball earlier. If we're talking about the beef technique of the basketball shot, although we talk about the techniques that would be used by an NBA player, when I am evaluating you, a grade 8 student, of course we want to see you at the ideal, but we have to keep in mind who you are, what your personal best is, and what your abilities are. And so there has to be some professional judgment in there as well when you're doing that evaluating. Has there been progress? Has this individual been working hard to improve their skills? And that should be a part of it as well. Of course, I mean, it is going to come down to, as well, technique, but that can't just be it, because otherwise we would only be giving, if we're marking out of a 4 rubric, the Kobe Bryant's 4 out of 4s, and everyone else, sorry, guess what? You kind of look like a grade 8 student. That's not right. So shouldn't be our job to ruin someone's day. We want to build people up, make them feel good about what they've done, give them information and advice as to how to get better, how do we improve, what's the next step. Show that appreciation for the learning that's happened up to that point.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about the Kobe Bryant analogy right there. Just because there's so many things with what we do that is just out of our control with motor development and where kids are at physically, that it's stuff that's just going to develop naturally. It doesn't necessarily matter how much we're, teaching it. Some kids just aren't going to be able to develop at the pace we want them to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know for myself, when I was in junior high, I was the king of the air balls. I was pretty good on my basketball team at getting people to foul me. I was a bit of a pest. I could be a pest if needed to be. So I could get people to foul me, but as soon as I was on that line, air ball. It was guaranteed. I've since now developed my shot a little bit. 35, 36, I got a pretty nice shot. But, yeah, I mean, so when I think about that, I worked hard at it when I was in junior high, but I just didn't have it. I just could not get the concept altogether. It was still growing into my body, still too lanky, arms were too long, could not pull myself together at that point in time. And when I think back about my phys ed teachers, they were always giving me positive comments, positive reinforcement, letting me know where my next learning needed to go, but keeping it positive.
Mm-hmm. And I think keeping it positive and specific.
Specific, yeah, that's key. Right.
Anyone else want to add to that? What are your thoughts on making it relevant? Who would like to speak? Who wants the floor? Like anyone, Bueller? What do you think, Bryce, you're at the high school level. I'm curious your take on making it relevant at the high school level and what it should look like there. I mean, that's really, you got them at the last stage of their PE development. What do you think about what you folks do?
Yeah, I try and promote lifetime activities, lifelong type opportunities for the students to get involved in. And I'm really trying to focus on fitness, understanding fitness, various levels of fitness. Not that you have to be a 10-second 100-meter runner, but that you can get involved in all types of activities that require fitness and different levels of fitness. So I think our provincial curriculum is pretty good in the sense that it tells you what we're supposed to really be assessing and evaluating. And I think for me, it's just a big part of promoting activity, being positive, encouraging, providing opportunities for kids to do things that maybe they wouldn't do outside of school, expose them to things, and really encourage them to get involved in those things. For example, cross-country skiing right now, some of the kids, a lot of the kids don't have skis at home or the opportunity to go, so I give them that opportunity, encourage them to do their best, that they're not going to be an Olympian right off the bat, and for the most part, the kids love it. We have a lot of new kids in the community that haven't even seen snow, so this winter with minus 42 weather right now, and a lot of snow, they're having a blast, and a lot of it for them is making sure they have enough clothes on so they don't freeze out there. But like Blue said, it's a lot of positives, it's a lot of encouragement, and for me, I think if I model the behavior I'm after, it goes a long way.
Yeah. I think one of the things you mentioned there that really stood out to me, and I think it leads into one of the topics that people wanted to discuss, was connecting PE to the local community. And you mentioned it with your cross-country skiing. Who else connects to their local community? Because I think that is kind of a missing link with PE as far as making it relevant, is connecting it to what your community does to be active. Does anyone have anything unique that they do in their program that they're connecting to their community?
I can speak to that to start, just to let everybody think. We do a pile of stuff within the community and that's available in our community. So, like I said, the cross-country skiing, we get the kids into the curling rink to curl, we go to the hockey rink to play hockey, we go to the golf course to golf, we'll do cross-country running, I'll let the kids, even at the high school level, go for bike rides and try and promote even just going for bike rides as a group. And I think when you do those things, the community sees you, the kids in the community see you, the little kids see you, and it's just a promotion of activity. We play tennis, we broomball, we do anything and everything we can do at the school and in the community.
I love that. You know, you're connecting it to the sports and activities that you know, are done locally. One of the things we do here, we've got Hood River, Oregon is kind of this outdoor sports mecca that I live in. We're right in a gorge between two mountains, so windsurfing is like a really big deal here. And so our 8th graders go windsurfing every year. We partner with one of the windsurfing schools. Skiing and snowboarding is big here. We're working on, we haven't taken our kids there yet, but we're working on bringing that back to the program. We take them swimming. We partner with our Hood River Aquatic Center for swimming lessons. And there are things that, like, I don't necessarily teach, but we work with outside groups that we take them to, and then they teach them there. So the windsurfing is totally rad. It's cool seeing kids get up on a board and a sail and try to navigate on the Columbia River. So it's fun.
Well, we brought in yoga. We did a little bit of jazzercise. You know, some taekwondo and like some bigger events where we've needed quite a few people. We do definitely struggle getting people into our school, and that's a big focus, and I know I've seen some of you guys do some of that stuff, and it's definitely something I want to do a little more of. Sometimes I think our schedule drives it, where I have class from, you know, 8:40 in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If I can't offer it to everyone, is that fair? You know, those kind of things. So Bryce, I guess I'd like to know a little bit more too about maybe how you guys get involved in all that. Because the other part of it is too, I would love to go to our high school because we've got, well, the Mullet Center, which is our ice rink, And then we've got a swimming pool there that we could use. There's just lots of different things we could do. But in 39-minute classes, you know, with other teachers not being that excited to maybe let them go from their class, you know, so we can get to, you know, an hour and 10 minutes, whatever. So I guess I kind of struggle with that, but I'd love to do it a whole lot more. So if anyone else has had, I guess, good ideas that have worked.
I know
Go ahead, Danny.
the last school that I was at before I started at Innoboro, they had block scheduling, so there were 80-minute periods, and the kids only had 4 periods a day, but it was a lot more conducive to taking the kids to do things that they wouldn't normally do. For example, the middle schoolers went up to the high school and kayaked in the pool. The high school students went to the bowling alley and went bowling. In my current situation, I'm kind of the same situation as Matt. I only see the kids for 30 minutes or 45 minutes if it's middle school, so you can't really take them anywhere.
You know, one thing that you can do to help get homeroom teachers on board with, is it okay if I take your kids for a half a day or whatever the case is? Probably the number one thing is to involve them as well. You know, to say, we're going to bring all the grade 8s, so I'm going to need more than just myself because we're taking 2, 3 buses, whatever. We're going to need further eyes to be helping me. But even more important than that is connecting it to curriculum that they already have ongoing. So if they have something going on in social studies, even though you're bringing a physical aspect to it, where you're going might have an historical importance to something that's happening in their social studies unit that they can speak about, and that can help a lot with getting their enthusiasm for, yeah, we should definitely get there for the day. They can plan events around their social studies piece. Maybe they can do some creative writing while you have a group that has an activity going on at that particular place. And maybe then the kids can rotate between you, and then all of a sudden now you have this outdoor classroom that's completely off-site, not even in your school grounds. It's at somewhere else in the city, some historical site. Can be quite interesting as well.
Has anyone else tried that? That's a good idea. Has anyone else done that?
I definitely try to talk to teachers about different topics or different things that they're doing in their class to try and incorporate it, whether it's with kindergarten and different ending sounds of words and incorporating that into an activity, or math activities that they're doing, you know, trying to incorporate those topics into things that I'm doing. Our problem is that our schedules, even for the teachers, are so crammed and tight.
Yeah.
Even if they wanted to, they wouldn't be allowed to let their kids go because of speech and intervention and, you know, computer time and all this other stuff that they have to get in. Even if they wanted to, I don't think they would be allowed to do it, and it's a shame.
Yeah. That's one of those things for sure where you have to do, there's a lot of forward thinking, and it can't just be from you. It's got to be with those homeroom teachers as well. But how do we approach the administration with the understanding of, if we're going to go to whatever site for 3 hours, how we're still going to get our language arts involved, how mathematics is going to be involved, how social studies is going to be involved, how obviously, of course, phys ed is going to be a part of that time. I mean, that definitely takes some forward thinking and some planning, and it's got to come from the group. It can't just be phys ed's baby. We can spearhead it, but we got to get everybody on board. But you're right. I mean, that can be a problem for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the things, it's really what it comes down to is almost educational reform in a way. I mean, maybe think outside the box a little bit on how our school day is structured and organized and what we're doing. Nick, I want to stick with you for a second because you had an interesting experience a couple weeks ago that I took note of. What about outside community groups who come into your gyms? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, we've had some issues this year with different groups using the gym after school, and leaving messes or taking stuff that I had put up or written up and erasing it or taking it down and things of that nature. We actually had to have a sit down with the group, kind of go through and discuss. The superintendent, school board member, a whole bunch of people were there. I just don't think that they understood that it was my classroom first and their space that they were allowed to come in and use. And I think since then it's worked out a little bit better. But we still have a couple of weeks. I think they go through the end of February, beginning of March. I love having them come in, and it's great programs, but they just need to make sure that they leave it in the condition that it was in, so that I don't have to clean up after.
So what can be done? Like, does anyone else have outside community groups coming to their gyms? Like, what can sorry, live television, everything can happen. Who has community groups come in, and it's like, and how do you best partner with those? Because I feel like outreach with community groups would be a fantastic way to make connections in the community, and even if it's something, it could lead to something like a, parent-kid, activity night where you have people coming in, families coming into your gyms, and you're kind of showcasing what you do in your classes. I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but what does anyone else have community groups coming into their gyms?
Yeah, let me touch on a couple of things.
Sure.
The first thing, I have the same problem as Nick. We have the youth clubs come in and use the gym for basketball, and they leave it a mess. They leave stuff all out on the stage, and we've actually had a problem with people getting into our equipment closet and equipment being left out, and they shouldn't even be using it. On that sense, basically, what I had to do was go through the custodial staff. Basically, somebody should be watching them while they're in there. We had our gym floors refinished over the summer, and about 2 weeks into school, there was tire marks all over the gym floor. And here it was on camera that it was one of the Boy Scouts pushing a stroller in the gym with the locks on. So luckily we were able to get the marks off the floor, and we knew who did it, so we had to talk to the outside community group and basically tell them to watch their kids. On another sense, one thing that I like to do is just pop in and watch my kids play. So at Prospect Park, a lot of my 6th graders will tell me, "Hey, Mr. Myers, I have a game tonight," or I'm playing on Monday, come out and watch me. And sometimes when the parents see that you're at the game and that you're also an employee of the district, then they're going to take better care of your building.
Yeah, I think, Danny, it's a problem. I mean, we have that same kind of problem too with community groups coming in and just they don't leave the space the way you would like it to. But I feel like the community groups is just a missing link, because at the end of the day, I feel like we all kind of have the same goals, but there's just a disconnect there that I can't seem to bridge. But I think that's that could be a missing link right there as far as having good outreach into your community. I guess the one question I want to ask right now then is what do you do in your building to build community? I know, Matt, you did didn't you do some kind of amazing race in your building, or how did that work?
We attempted to do an amazing race like in the fall, and it just ended up being too rainy and cold, and we didn't get a chance to do that. But we are going to do an amazing race for the kids in the spring now. Are you thinking like staff-wise? Is that what you're talking about?
It could be staff-wise. It could be like something that brings in the whole, like a whole grade level. Like Blue had mentioned, in collaborating with other teachers in your own building. Some type of thematic thing. I'm not sure. I mean, is there anyone who's done something like that in their building to kind of help, build community or advocate for your program?
At my last school, they had what was called a community day. It was on a Saturday, and we partnered with the YMCA. The YMCA hosted a run, a 5K, and the finish line was up at the high school. And then inside the high school, they had Red Cross, the hospital sent people there to do presentations, take blood pressure, that type of stuff. Then the phys ed department had games set up and different type of activities for the community members to play.
Cool.
Yeah, we tried to do that a few years ago and have a parent wellness night. We had a nutritionist come in and a whole bunch of different stations set up. And at the time, we had a school of about 500 kids. And the principal and a whole bunch of other teachers were involved with it. And we had one family show up.
Oh.
So it was like, yeah, big time disaster. So we did try it a few years ago, and I think from then the administration and other people just kind of were like, well, we tried it and it didn't work. So we have stuff through our PTO. So like, you know, they run programs and do different things. They have once a month they have family nights, and sometimes it'll be physical activities. We have a jump rope assembly coming up, and that presenter is also going to stay that night and do a family night. So they do some things, and I try to encourage them to keep doing more activities, and the turnouts are really good for it. So I keep pushing that.
Yeah, we've always had a jump rope for heart. I think we're up to like 19 years in a row now. So we bring that in. That's a massive kind of a one-day event. We always do hoops for heart too for the American Heart Association, and that's kind of like a big 3-hour deal. Usually a couple days. So one for like 7th and 8th grade, one for 6th grade. I guess we're working on trying to get like a parent-kid night too, and I know there's a few people on Twitter that have done that, but just inviting parents and kids to come in to either play, you know, have a hockey night or have a badminton night, or whether it be just a dodgeball night or whatever, but just kind of bring them in. We had one of those nights set up, and then it conflicted with about 2 different things, and now we haven't gone back to setting it back up. That's definitely another thing we're looking for. We've kind of done like a Get Fit for Life Day, which is pretty neat, where we've had, you know, basically the whole day was kind of moving through stations, different classrooms. I think this was a K-8 too. So we just had different presenters in a lot of different rooms where they were teaching health and fitness kind of things, and that was a neat way to kind of incorporate the whole community and the school community in a physical fitness way. So.
Just curious, I want to throw it out there. What is your your building climate towards PE and your administration's attitudes towards PE? Is it relatively positive, or does anyone have any administrators that are kind of negative towards PE, or what's that climate kind of like in your building?
I'll jump in and start. It's been a while since I talked. We see every kid every day, so we have huge support from our administration. We only have 250 kids in the building to begin with, so, but yeah, we get a lot of support from our administration, and but we're just starting out. We're only in our 2nd year open as a school in general, so any advice, any pointers for getting community involvement, I've taken notes, and if anybody has any pointers for a school that's just opening, that'd be great. But yeah, we get total support, you know, again, every kid every day, so.
That's great. Who else? What is we're lucky. I mean, our building really supports PE. We did semester-long PE up until 3 years ago, and now we're year-round. So all 3 grade levels, we see every kid every other day. So, and that's just because we have 480 students and only 2 PE teachers. So, I mean, our class sizes are rather large, but anywhere from 35 to 46. But you know, we do what we got to do to see kids every other day. So that's been really nice being in that climate for us here.
I feel like that I'm in kind of a unique situation. I work at a private school, and before me, there has been PE teachers who weren't really certified. They were just kind of people that were hired to work with the kids. So I feel like this is my first year at the school, and everybody just is like totally in love with what I'm doing. I feel like I could do anything, and they would be in love with it. So it's been nice, and it's just funny how people react like to the just little small things that I do, and they're like, "Oh, that is so amazing," and I'm just like, "That's what any PE teacher would do," but they just haven't experienced it before.
And by the way, before we go on, quick introduction. That's Peter Gamble, right? Am I right?
That is right.
Welcome, Peter, to the PE Geeks Unite. So who else at administration or building attitude climates towards your program?
Yeah, we have massive support at our school. I mean, they appreciate everything they do. They'll give us almost anything that we kind of ask for. Obviously within reason. But, you know, I mean, the schedule still drives what happens. And, you know, math is important and Spanish is important and kind of all those other things. And so we're not going to drive the whole middle school schedule, but we've got a lot of support by our administrator, and I think it shows every day. It's great to have.
Anyone else? Well, I think this is a good time then to transition into our next topic. We've got, you know, it's funny, we've had interesting experiences with community and outside organizations, and bringing, you know, your building on board for, you know, thematic type things, or going out to the community and being tough because of the schedules. But one of the things we definitely don't seem to be having a problem with is developments in collaboration with our own PE community, on Twitter especially. So the developments in collaboration, the PE Geeks, the PE Bible, and, you know, since I typed up this agenda, a couple things have been added to that, I think, with the Phys Ed podcast, and then I know Matt and you had a pretty big collaboration with your dance unit here just the other day. So, a lot to talk about. So, I'll just throw it out there. Who wants to start about some of the collaboration that's going on through Twitter or through the PE Geeks?
I think, Matt, you should definitely start. It's a very cool thing you've just done. I'd love for you to highlight that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's all Team Tate. I mean, that guy is just unbelievable. You know, to turn around and to open up that PE Geeks. I mean, and just the support he got from all the PE Geeks across the world. I mean, that just shows the kind of people that we are. You know, and that we're all willing to work together. We want to work at a global, you know, environment, and we all want to work for everybody else. So, you know, I just kind of started this So You Think You Could Dance, and it was something that Joey Faith had done, and I just kind of picked it up, and I just kind of put it out there on Twitter just to see what would happen. And as most things usually do on Twitter, it kind of gained some steam, and, you know, it gets some people interested in it. And you know, John Tate just jumped on it, and his Phi Ed teacher, Angie, again, was just all excited about it. And then all of a sudden, you know, once you say one thing about it, then it continues to build, and you guys just continue to make those connections and try to figure everything out. And, you know, my students just got so excited about it. You just knew it had to happen. So, so I mean, you know, 3 or 4 weeks of planning, lots of direct messages, lots of just chatter, lots of Google Docs and all that other stuff. All kind of happened on Wednesday. And, I mean, it all went down and it all worked out great. But it was cool. It was cool to get a chance to Skype with someone from England. And, you know, just to get to collaborate in that sense, and to have our students meet their students. And you know, my son's 5K class came over to watch, and it was kind of one of the only classes that were invited. But they ended up writing a little letter to all the dancers, and it was very cool just because I could take a picture of that letter. I sent it off to John Tate. The next day, that morning, he had it printed off, he had it handed to his dancers, and they were taking pictures of it with their phone because they were so proud of what they had accomplished. So, I mean, just the fact that you can do anything on a global aspect like that. And honestly, the opportunities are endless when you think of what you can do with what you can share nowadays. So like I say, I was involved in a dance unit, and you know, just kind of threw an idea out there, and you get the bright minds that can piece it all together, like John, and I just kind of rolled with all the punches. So it was great. But like I say, that's what that PE community is all about, and truly been an amazing piece. So
when can we watch the video? That's what I want to know. When's the YouTube uploaded?
Well, to be honest, I've just downloaded it onto my computer, and I just need to upload it. But he's got a bunch of stuff on the PE Geeks webpage.
Okay.
So there's some really neat videos from his end of their students participating, and then our students on the projector screen right behind them watching, and then a few of the pictures of their students sitting right in front of the projection screen, and with our dancers kind of dancing. So I'll post the link up there right now.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, it was lots of fun.
So what is how many of you had the chance to listen to Joey and Nathan's Phys Ed podcast?
Yeah.
But so I mean, that was something you know, just came across it yesterday. I think it's I thought it was a great idea. I really like some of the things they talked about, and I hope they continue to do that, because that's something I think that should be a part of everyone's kind of toolkit. Easy to download, easy to listen to.
I just want to know when Joey sleeps.
That's a good question. That's gonna have to go in the minutes.
We'll have to pull him in as a special guest and quiz him on that. Now, one of the other things that has been happening is that development of the PE Geeks Dropbox. And that was the big launch a couple weeks ago. Together we are stronger with the hashtag PE Geeks. And I know they just did a big reorganization of the Dropbox, and to make it more accessible. I know just going through and looking at it, it was the reorganization I think really helped. A lot of work was done by Alec, and Mr. B, PE teacher I think is his handle. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But he did a lot of work. There a lot of great work with reorganizing that, and so now it's organized now by sports and by then you find the person's Twitter handle in there with their resources. So I think that is something that definitely cleans up the look a little bit. Has anyone gotten a chance to share or look at some of the resources in that Dropbox, or what they think the potential of something like that is? Cricket, cricket.
Well, Adam, I mean,
I'll say that the potential for that is tremendous. The ability to be sharing all the time in almost real time is fantastic. We can quite often, being phys ed teachers, there's one or two of you in the building, and you can quite often feel like you're in your own little corner of the world, and then you're always having to reinvent the wheel. And so the ability to look through that Dropbox and see if information's there that could potentially already be relevant to what it is you're about to do. Maybe you use it directly. Maybe you use it to drive the next part of your evaluation. Maybe you change it to meet your school's needs or your students' needs. But to be able to repost that, share what it is that you're doing, is kind of like having, kind of like team teaching all the time with the rest of the world. So I just think it's tremendous that they've taken on that idea and kind of taken it to the next level.
hate to interrupt you, Lou, but we're kind of having a little side conversation on the chat. You know, when anything can happen on live streaming and live broadcasting on YouTube.
I'm back.
Oh man, but I get what you're saying. I think that's it's a great idea. I know the thing that was making it a little difficult for me was I didn't know all the resources on there. There were like 150 people, and I hadn't connected with everyone on there. So it's much easier for me to go through now that I can look at particular units, or it'd be even better if it was like by grade level, and then finding the people that I already know or who I'm at least familiar with. I know one of the things Matt and I have been doing recently is we've shared a couple Evernote notebooks for kind of just sharing our lesson plans and our resources for badminton. And so we just have a couple shared notebooks, and that's in our Evernote account. And you know, we're able to view it, able to edit it. And I think I shared with them a couple other folders of like some PE articles and things like that. That I think it could be nice to have that sharing capability. Yeah. Is anyone else? What have you done as far as sharing, or are there any other tools out there to help share that you're excited about?
You know, I guess I just want to add in on that. Just the fact that, you know, when we're both in the same unit and doing it at the same time, I mean, that was what was cool, and that was what was impressive, to see your scope and sequence, you know, to see your schema work, and just kind of the way that you went through and taught it, and the way that I went through and taught it, and, you know, just seeing what works for you guys and what works for us, and, you know, just kind of getting that idea. So it's nice to be in the same unit and just kind of know what's going on.
You know, it was good that way, because I know I stole like 2 activities that you did in your units that I didn't even think about. This one serving game, and then your teacher hacked a blind mitten. I mean, I took it and used it the next day. So I mean, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was definitely neat to see. But I mean, I guess the other part of that is I go back to Blue, you know, and it's like, I'm doing a fitness unit, and of course he's like, hey man, I'll share some Google Docs with you, or, you know, I'll send you an email of some of that stuff. And so I mean, sometimes it's as simple as that, just knowing what people are in, and just being able to, you know, to share a file or share a folder, and you know, through Google Drive too, and just be able to be that resource that way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Does anyone, do you share through like the cloud, whether it's Google Apps or whether it's Evernote or Dropbox? Does anyone share with other teachers in their district, or what is like the connectedness of other teachers in your district with collaboration?
Non-existent.
Yeah,
Really poor.
not a lot.
You know, Adam, we actually just made a Google Plus community through our school Google webpage. So it's kind of like that secure sharing, and kind of when PE Geeks came out, we started talking about this at our technology integration team. And it's like, how can we start sharing more? Because like I heard, there was a chorus of no one shares, or it's hard to share. But that was one thing that actually just a day or two ago that they opened up to us. And it just opened up to about 15 or 16 people right now. But I hope there's a good possibility.
For sure. I think I just was in a meeting the other day where someone was talking about, and we do PLCs, professional learning communities at our school, so we're supposed to be on the sharing bandwagon for the past 3 years with collaboration. And I heard a comment from someone that, you know, doesn't sharing make you like susceptible to being replaced? You know, they were like almost paranoid about sharing, and it was a really weird perspective or attitude to see.
I've experienced that a bit as well, and you know, my comment always to that when I have those kind of discussions, whether it be with other phys ed teachers or with other teachers, and usually the conversation begins with them saying, hey, I hear you're doing some stuff on Twitter, what do you do on there? And usually my initial reaction, I share share what I'm up to, share successes, share failures, hear about what other people are doing, see how I can share with them. And the idea being that if I have created something that I feel is a worthwhile lesson, that is worthwhile to others, I don't want to shove it away inside of a drawer and not let anyone ever touch it or see it, and it's all just my little precious. The ability to put it out there and let everyone, and then see how they change it up for their own students, and I mean, the way that it's going to wind up changing for you is only going to benefit yourself, your students, your own personal learning. It's just unreal. But that is a funny kind of a breakthrough that people need to get through. That idea that we don't need to be on an island on our own.
No, absolutely not. No longer are we, the sage of your stage. It's like we definitely need, especially in today's education climate, I mean, you have to be collaborative. I mean, look at the business world or anywhere else. It's all team-based collaboration. I mean, yeah, they're competitive, but they don't get there without the teamwork that they're able to do.
That's right.
I think I made a note right here. Oh, one of the things that happened on Twitter a couple weeks ago. Coach Kelly 31, she couldn't be here tonight, but she's a high school teacher. She had several of her students upload their final projects, and she was asking for feedback from the PE geeks Twitter community. Did anyone see that or give feedback, or what do they think about the possibilities of putting student work out there for other PE teachers to give feedback on?
Actually, that's something that I was thinking about doing here. I have my 5th and 6th graders creating like a 1 to 2 minute jump rope routine, and I want to videotape each of them and then be able to post on my creative Facebook page, and I want to be able to post them to that page more to show parents and community what the kids are doing in class. But part of it was for the other kids to see what students in other classes are doing and possibly, use it maybe as to vote or do some sort of a voting or something like that, just to get them more involved or to make comments or to post comments after watching the videos to get them sharing and collaborating more in class.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know, Blue, you've been doing this, and I've done it a little bit this week with Vine, with digitizing or recording student learning and just posting it on Vine. I've also put it on we have a PE department Facebook page. I posted on there as well, but I think that has some potential.
Yeah, something you can keep in mind as well, Nick, if obviously, of course, privacy can be an issue when you're posting stuff like that, but you want your students to be able to access it, is you can create a YouTube channel and make it a closed channel that only people who have the URL link can actually go and view those videos. So there's a way to not make it just available to the entire world. You can close it down as best you can to within your school. Maybe teachers have to access it. It can be watched in class. So there are ways that you can still post these things to YouTube without it just being available to the world.
And does anybody use Edmodo at all?
I do.
And is that something that you can post or put onto Edmodo and use it more secure? Okay.
Now, Edmodo, I've been using Edmodo for about 1.5 years, and it's a great platform. It really is. It's it's a totally closed community, so it's very private, but it's very similar in terms of how it looks to Facebook. So kids are pretty familiar with it. Now, at least with my experience, though, after the initial excitement that kids had for it, it became just like anything else that they didn't necessarily want to access because it's not where they were as far as social media is concerned. Where they're at, where my kids are at, they're at the middle level in Oregon, they're on Facebook.
Yeah, right.
So as feature-packed as Edmodo was, and I still loved the platform, I'm struggling with engagement through Edmodo with our kids. So I don't know my solution.
For those of you that have a Facebook page for your department, how did you get your administration to agree? We get a lot of resistance to using any kind of social media, and I think that would be a good way to connect to the community as well, but they don't want to buy in.
Yeah, I had some.
Go ahead, Nick.
I kind of had a hard time getting it started. I almost kind of created it first and told our superintendent and stuff that I made it, not really giving him a chance to tell me no. I didn't post it, or I didn't make it public. I just started to create it, and I think that kind of helped me out a little bit. And we do have we have one administrator who's really into social media, really into technology, so she kind of helped me push it out there. I had to make some concessions, you know, with doing some different things. We use eChalk, and so they really want us to push our eChalk pages, but you can't post videos to them, you can't post pictures on them. Right. So I kind of had to make a concession where I would use my eChalk page as much as the Facebook page to communicate and relay information. And that's kind of how I got it to go through.
One of the things that I will say about this, just because I'm pretty familiar, or I've become really familiar in the past year with law and how it affects student privacy and things like that. You know, I'm doing my master's work in administration, so one of the things that I find with many administrators going to several of these law conferences is there's just a lot of, I don't want to say it's ignorance, but it's a lot of what we would call FUD, you know, fear, uncertainty, and doubt regarding technology. And the use of social media specifically in the classroom. A lot of the things we're talking about were actually protected when it comes to the law, and students are protected as far as, you know, the various laws, whether it's COPPA or FERPA, or there's like 2 other ones I can't even think of. As far as student privacy is concerned, because a lot of it's considered registry info if it's not like a head-on close-up shot of a student individually. Like if you're showing a whole group of students, or it's students from the side or the back, even if it's video, for the most part, at least in the U.S., that's protected. You can post that on those social network channels. At least you can in our state. I would get a little familiar with what your laws say, and you know, talk to your administrators about that. I think that helps. There's actually how I got the idea for the Google Hangouts. There's a Northwest EdTech like Google Hangout group, and they're talking about the law about posting with social media all the time, and it's just really helped me understand what I can and what I can't post, and what I can and what I can't share. So that's been helpful.
Yeah, I have to make sure that every time I post anything, I have to double check all of our media release for each class. So parents at the beginning of the year have to sign a form saying whether their kids' pictures can be posted or taken. So I have to go through every picture, every video, double check it before I can post it.
Yeah, we have that too. Fortunately for us, we actually don't have anyone who's on that list right now, so that makes my job a little easier. But
yeah, we've got about 3 out of 1,000 too, so it's like you're pretty well clear.
Mm-hmm. Is anyone else sharing on on Facebook or any other apps? I came across an app last night I was pretty curious about, called Magisto. I don't know if anyone's heard of it.
Oh yeah.
Kind of similar to Vine, but it's longer video, and it seems to be limited by a certain amount of uploads you can have, but it processes it for you and puts some music to it, like a soundtrack to it, and it seems like it's a pretty cool tool, or it could be anyway.
I've actually used it for my kids, like my personal kids, so I just videotaping them, and yeah, it's quite simple. You can import a couple different videos, and then it just kind of edits for you, and like you say, it just kind of throws in whatever music you want to choose, and basically just makes it a nice little video. It's pretty slick, but you're right. There was, after so many of them, or if it's so long, I think you had to end up paying for it, or you could post it but not save it. You know, so
sneaky tricks.
There's a few little sneaky tricks, but I've never had to pay for anything. So, but I haven't used it that much either. But yeah, definitely a cool way to share. You know, if you're taking videos of quite a few things, and you know you want to make a little montage or whatever.
Well, I came across on my blog read yesterday. Some person made a post about having a class historian. And that can change whoever it is on the day or the unit, but that person's the one in charge of digitally capturing all your stuff. And so then the students are creating it instead of you, because right now I'm doing the Vine stuff, but I'm kind of tempted to hand off the device to my kids to have them do the Vine of the day or whatever.
It's impressive what I think his username is P Educator. I think his name is Ben Leonard. He's got, you know, I mean, he's got a lot of non-participants doing a lot of stuff, and it seems like he uses, I think it's Sketch, the Comic Life, Poster, you know, all of those, and it is a really good idea. I mean, just having kids continue to create content, you know, that you can use in your classroom, that whether they're non-participants because of injuries or dress or clothes or whatever. But yeah, just to get them involved that way and be a part of it too.
And tie that into what we mentioned at the very start about the concern about losing activity time. I mean, how does that affect the activity time with kids, or what? Or how do you do some of those cool digital tools or use them and maximize your activity time at the same time? I guess that's the question I have. Anything else? Anyone got anything for the good of the order? Or anything they want to talk about?
I got a question. What kind of technology do you guys all have in your building? Because we have absolutely like nothing since we're just starting out. So like, what kind of technology do you use on a day-to-day basis, or do you have iPads, iPods? How many? All the above.
And how'd you get them?
Who wants to tackle this one first?
I think I've had some DMs with Matt about this. I'm sure I'm at the bottom of the totem pole on this because my school has absolutely nothing. I do not even have internet in my
Sorry about that. Capture the cat.
Yeah, I mean, we're the same way because we just, probably within the last month or two, developed a computer lab for the entire building, not even just for us. So we're in the same, you know, boat as you. We don't have any technology access whatsoever.
Nick, what about you? I know you've got quite a bit going on where you're at.
Yeah, 2 years ago I wrote a grant and I got 30 heart rate watches, and I currently have 3 Xbox Kinect systems that I use as well, especially for kids who might have like a broken arm. I can use it almost as like an adaptive phys ed tool where they might not be able to jump rope or play basketball, but they can use the Kinect for different activities. Use it as a choice day activity on certain days, so that's kind of neat. Our building just got a classroom set of iPod Touches, and I volunteered to figure out how to use them for the building. So for the rest of this year, that's kind of one of the things that I'm going to start working on. It took 6 months for them to become operational because our tech department's a little slow. And then actually just a week or two ago, through Donors Choose, I got a project funded to get 4 Apple TVs. So I should be getting those in the next couple of weeks to go with iPod Touches. And then I have my own personal iPad that I use.
Did you have to special request the Apple TVs on Donors Choose?
Yeah, when I went in to create my project, it was the first one I created, and I didn't know exactly how it would work, but they have their select vendors and catalogs that you can go through, and Best Buy Business was one of them. And the Apple TVs were right in there, and at $100 a piece, I figured it wouldn't be too bad. I was lucky enough to have a lot of my personal family donate most of the money for the projects. I think I got my whole project funded in 2 days.
Wow.
That's great.
The first week, Donors Choose matches dollar for dollar any donation. So I really only had to raise half the money, which was about $275. I did get a little bit of help from our PTO. I think they donated like $75 as well. So I had some good support. So I'm really excited to get used to using them.
I don't want to.
Go for it. He's up.
I don't want to derail the conversation here, but speaking of Donors Choose, when I accepted the job that I'm in, and I walked in and saw what the equipment was there, the principal looked at me and was like, "Is this a deal breaker?" And so is there anything similar to Donors Choose that? Because I know Donors Choose doesn't work with private schools. Is there anything similar to Donors Choose that private schools can use? If you might have any ideas about that?
That's a good question. I'm not familiar with anything off the top of my head. What about Reddit? I think Reddit had some things for donations to schools. I don't know if it was public or private, but they did something in August. I don't know exactly what it was. You could create a project though and see if someone, it was like a matching deal.
Yeah, I'm not sure of any either.
Does Donors Choose do charter schools, or is it just public schools?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's something I know when they walk you through, when you sign up for it, a teacher account, they'll walk you through to see if you're eligible.
Gotcha.
So they ask you all sorts of questions. I actually, go ahead, Nick.
I was trying to think if you have to be like like a charitable organization or like a 503B or whatever that is. Like there's certain criteria that they have just to make sure it's not for like a personal use or different things like that. But I'm not sure exactly what criteria they look at.
Yeah, I actually just got a project funded through Donors Choose. The first one I did was for 10 Google Chromebooks. Donors Choose ran a special back in December. They partnered with Google, and it was so popular within the first like 24 hours, they ran out and they had to close it off, but it was Google Chromebooks for $99. So, which is like $150 cheaper than what they typically are. So I was able to start a project for 10. Donors Choose matched dollar for dollar for the first week. I had a lot of family donations. I was hitting up family left and right. So, but it was good, and we just got it. And I helped a little bit too, and I funded. We got it funded last week. So in 2 weeks, I think we're supposed to get 10. But to answer your question about how you pay for it, I've written a couple grants. A local like district level grants for $800. I've written them twice. A lot of stuff, honestly, I've bought myself. out of my own pocket, and I guess it's easy to do because I only have to feed myself and a dog. So I mean, but little easier. But I mean, I bought my own projector and my own iPad and my own Apple TV because my district wasn't going to pay for it. We do a PE fundraiser every year. We run our jogathon. Our PTO doesn't get it. We do it. It's a fundraiser for us. So that's kind of nice. But that pays mostly for like our special programs like windsurfing and swimming. But a couple things I can say, they're not like super high tech, but they are probably our best investment that we've made is the heart rate wands and the monitors. And like we don't have individual monitors for each kid. We just have a wand that kids hold. Actually, it's sitting right here. Right here.
How much do they run?
So how it works is kids just hold it and it tells them the heart rate. So it's not bad. And it's someone started something in their iTunes. Is that me? That sure is. Did anyone else hear that? We had Joey and Nathan on the horn.
Oh.
So it was coming through my headphones anyway. So
they're making a guest appearance.
A guest appearance talking about the podcast. Who knew? So the heart rate wand has been, I mean, that was like $150. That was one of our best investments. And then the other thing is we have wireless mics for teaching. I mean, we kind of need it because we have a lot of kids, but it's a voice saver. Like I can't even talk it up enough. It's been great. But to answer your question, like I said, we've purchased a couple things. A lot of it I've had to buy myself, and I've written a couple grants. So.
Yeah, it definitely helps if you put some money out of your pocket and kind of get some of the small things that you really like, and that really helps. I guess basically going back tech-wise, I mean, it all started with me too. It's like, all right, well, I got my iPhone and I taught as much as I could with my iPhone, and I could, I did a few coaches' eyes and did kind of that stuff, and that's like, well, where do you go next? I think we had a couple of Wii's too, which have kind of gone past. We don't use them too much, but then kind of partnered up with our track and field program, and we kind of run a club that ends up we've got 8 feeder schools that go to our high school, so ours is one of the 8. But our track club kind of covers all those 8 feeder schools, so we've got a nice little budget, and we ended up getting 6 iPads to share between the track team and our Phi-Ed program, which was kind of slick. And then I got the Apple TV myself, and our district is pretty lucky in the fact that we're a 1-to-1 district. So 4 through 8, 3 of those grade levels have netbooks, 2 grade levels have Chromebooks, which is pretty slick. Sometimes it's hard to actually put those to use in Phi-Ed. They're great for health. But that's nice to have. I guess I'm trying to think what else. I guess that's our main kind of technology stuff.
What about you, Blue? What do you have with technology in your classroom? I know I've seen some clips on Vine of your kids with laptops. What do you got going on there?
Yeah, we recently have partnered with Dell, and so we were using Dell Streaks a few years ago, but those, they just didn't really work out. They weren't really well done. But they did kind of come back to the table after we went to them, I guess, essentially, and said that this piece of technology is not what it should be. So they came with us, and now we have a bunch of netbooks through them. And they're terrific because they're small, they're sturdy, they have some kind of crazy skin on the outside that makes them a little stickier and a little harder, and so they can they're a little more rough and tumble for being in a middle school, which is terrific. We use one in the gym as well that we use to show YouTube videos up on our projection screen, and we also use it as our scoreboard. So we have a scoreboard application piece inside of there, and then that goes up on our big projection screen in our gym, and So we don't use a regular standard scoreboard anymore. That's been terrific, having that in the gym itself when they're coming in for assemblies, to be able to just, if someone has something that needs to be shown, to not have to bring in the LCD projector and all that sort of stuff, to have it attached, have it be a part of our gym already. As long as they come in with their information on a little, flash drive or thumb drive, and they can just pop it right into our YouTube or right into our laptop rather, and be up and going right away. We have a phys ed iPad, and we did have a phys ed iPod, but it got jacked one day. So I mean, hey, that's part of the process, unfortunately. But so these things do happen. Letting kids bring in their own technology has probably been one of the most positive things that's happened. Is to not try and fight that fight of, I don't want to see your phone, I don't want to see your iPod, put it away, da-da-da. That stuff's there. It's a reality. It's how do we use that stuff effectively? How do we use it for learning, not just for nonsense garbage stuff? There'll be time for that. Having fun on there is okay. I don't have no problem with people playing a little Temple Run once in a while. But not during our phys ed class. So during phys ed class, we're being active, we're learning. We will use your iPods, we'll use your phones as part of our learning. So how do we use those in an effective, positive way is definitely key.
I want to take that quote, Blue, and I want to put it on our bulletin board outside our office, because I think our whole staff could probably use that perspective a little bit more, I would hope.
Yeah, it's something that we could talk about definitely in an upcoming Geeks Unite, and probably make it our topic of how do we utilize technology that those kids already have in their pockets effectively. And it's just a war that you're not going to win, and you're going to drive yourself crazy, and you're not going to get to where you're trying to get to. It certainly makes a lot more sense to say, hey, guess what? Look, check out what you got in your pocket. You've got this little computer sitting in your pocket. How can we use that effectively now to help you in every one of your classes? But for us, for phys ed, how do we use that to utilize creating a workout, an effective workout? Figure out your bones, your muscles, all the rest of determining your technique, of course, with things like UberSense. So there's a lot there that's sitting there in their pocket, and it makes sense to have them bring that out and feel good about it. Hey, I've got this in my pocket, now what? As opposed to them waiting for you to turn around so they can text a little something. Utilize it properly.
Blue, we're to the point where it's like, we've got netbooks with our 8th graders, but their iPhones are faster. Their iPods are faster.
That's right.
They're more powerful. Now, they're not a word processing tool or anything like that, but it's like, well, if you want to do some quick research and send links and, do things like that, it's like,
do it.
There's no reason to fight it. Yeah.
No.
As long as you're keeping them engaged, they're not going to be playing games, and they're not going to be doing anything else. If you can find something interesting for them to do, they're going to use it, and they're going to love it. I mean, exactly like you said, too. If we would have told teachers back in the 1970s that every single kid in their class would have a powerful computer in their pocket,
yeah,
and then we say that they're banned in school, it doesn't make any sense.
That's right.
I mean, because it is. It's a powerful tool. Now, when you have them bring them down, how do you store those kind of things? I mean, do you just kind of have them keep it on the sides so it doesn't get stepped on? I mean, that's kind of one thing I run into also. Like, where do you put them? What do you do with them, when you're not using them?
Right. I try to tell them in advance, we are purposefully going to be using your iPods tomorrow. Now I want to see them. I need them out. We're going to be utilizing them. I'll have a couple of our own that we'll get from teachers because they each have one class iPod, and so I might borrow the grade 5's iPods or whatever. But the more that we have around, the better it is. There is obviously that concern for if they are just bringing them down randomly. Now what? Is it going to get broken, stolen, whatever? So we do certainly make awareness of that, and that we will be using them. Don't worry. I want you to be bringing them, but unless I've explicitly said to be bringing them, it's best that they don't come because of those potentials for breaking, being stolen. All those things have happened, unfortunately. So
I have a question for you guys. And just starting off using iPods in class, I guess my biggest concern is we have a cart, which is not very easy for the kids to be able to get in and out because of the they're plugged in, and how do you have them set up in your classroom or in the gym for the students to use, but also ensuring that they're not getting broken, they're not being dropped, or anything along those lines, because the cart itself isn't a good place for them to go in and out of. So any thoughts or ideas on how I could set them up within the gym?
Do you have them in hard cases? That's the first thing I would think of, is case them up.
They just ordered cases yesterday. So not yet, but they will.
Yeah, sorry, Nick, I don't have any answers for you. I'm kind of wondering the same thing, how we would best, do setup in the gym with iPods. I'm not exactly sure what a good strategy would be.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern is making sure they're in a safe place. The kids aren't running around with they're not being dropped and all that sort of stuff.
Nick, we've been using them quite a bit, and I've not had that problem of them being dropped. iPods or iPads, the kids seem to respect them a lot, other than the one that got jacked. Yeah, I've not had. I know that that's a natural concern. That hey, these things are going to get broken. They're going to get stolen. We did have one stolen. But more so, that they're going to get dropped, and I've just not had that problem. One of the beauties of the iPod specifically is their size, in that they can be slipped right into a pocket. That can be one of the downfalls. They can be taken easy enough. But my point is that when they're being used, great, they're out. The kid is using it. They're filming their buddy, whatever. When we're setting up for the next thing, the next shot, they can put it into their pocket, and it doesn't need to just be on the floor. Where the iPad, its size can be one of its detriments. As well, in that when I'm done with it, I've got to put it down, and when it's down, now it's got the potential to get stepped on or basketball bounce on it or whatever. So the beauty of the iPods, especially when students are just kind of working on their own information or just one-on-one with another student, is the ability to just put it away in your pocket when it's not being used right now. And of course, you would have them numbered, and at the end, we've got to see all 13 iPods back before anyone's going to get changed, or that sort of a thing that you put into effect, those kind of practices.
Okay, thanks.
Have you noticed an increase in responsibility when using the iPad or iPods in the classroom?
I have, absolutely. We have some iPods too that we're lucky enough to use. We have 10, and we hopefully are adding 5 more real soon. But let's see, I've been at my current school for 4 years, and we would have, every year we'd have 1 or 2 phones or iPods stolen out of the locker room. But the more tech we've brought into the classroom, and the more that I'm using and modeling with, and that it's all my own stuff that I'm using in the classroom, I feel like I have no evidence to back it up, but my anecdotal evidence is that it's a more respectful culture, and kids are really mindful of it. I think they know that we're pretty fortunate enough to use it. And I've lent out my laptop, logged onto the guest account to a couple kids to take home because they didn't have a computer home to do homework. That sounds crazy, but I have one Chromebook sitting around, but I've let a couple kids take the Chromebook home, and it hasn't been a problem.
Yeah, we have that issue. Our building is very diverse in our socioeconomic, and there's kids that are actually homeless, don't have anything whatsoever, and then we have other kids that have everything that you could think of. So I'd be worried about bringing that kind of stuff in and having the bullying start. Have you noticed any of that going on, or not really? More like sharing going on?
Not really for me. I think, any BYOD initiative. I think it's not a full implementation where we're relying on kids to bring in devices and only use their devices. I think it would be, any smart implementation would be just to subsidize what the school can't provide to kids.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. And I haven't seen any of the things you mentioned. So. What else? What do we got? What about you, Bryce? What do you have going on with technology?
We are probably lacking a little bit. The kids all have stuff, so I try and do the BYOD, like Blue said, bring your stuff. We're going to try this or do that. But I like the kids moving. I like the kids doing stuff. And I think sometimes at our school they need a break from the technology. So we sometimes don't use it a whole lot. I let them keep it in their lockers or in the change rooms, and we're active, we're exercising, and we're not worrying too much about the technology. I've had them do the BYOD for the heart rate apps, some of those things. It works good, but sometimes you'll tried and true, 2 fingers to the neck, 10 seconds works just as good and faster. So we've done some stuff comparing apps to the old school methods, but everything everybody's talked about. You might have 20 kids out of 25 that have, so 5 don't. Does it make some kids feel left out? Can I find stuff for everybody else to use? Does it take time? Where do you put it? How necessary is it? So sometimes I think it's nice to get away from it and remind the kids that there's a lot of stuff that we can do that we don't need technology. So.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I typed it in the chat, but I think it's worth saying that good PE pedagogy doesn't really need tech. We like to use it. Obviously, our kids like it, but we can be good teachers and we don't even need to use it if we're, our practices are solid. So.
Yeah, like we just got school-wide Wi-Fi yesterday.
Yes. Celebrate that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big day.
I'm right there with it. We don't even have it yet.
Yeah, that's one of the nice deals with us is, we have school-wide Wi-Fi, and we've probably got about a mile and a quarter around our school, that kind of encompasses it, and Wi-Fi reaches almost all the corners of it, which is really slick when you're geocaching, orienteering, for our P Amazing Race and those kind of things too. So when you have that Wi-Fi access everywhere, especially for BYOD, is great.
Yeah, we still have dead spots with ours.
Okay. But again, too, Bryce, I think I'm kind of right with you. It's like, boy, sometimes it's tougher, it's trickier to kind of include that technology. You feel like it takes a little bit longer. And then you kind of say, well, was it worth it, too?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I agree. Sometimes it's like, let's just play, let's just go for it.
Yeah, let's play, let's do, worry about the tech later.
Yep.
For sure. So, what's everyone think here? Where are we at? I think we talked about quite a bit of stuff tonight.
I think it's getting pretty close to Saturday night for most of us. Right, Saturday morning.
Take your pick.
So what do we think? I heard I heard some Friday nights might not be the best for this.
Work-life balance, guys.
That's right. Wellness time.
I'm available basically, any time to really do this. So it depends on everyone else's schedule. If we could come up with some type of common date in the future, I think sticking to once a month is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Like we talked about last time. And
I think a weekday is just too hard. I mean, you have to almost stay on a weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, because you do. You have a conversation for about 2 hours.
Yeah. I think Sunday nights are a little better on my end, but
True. Yeah.
Some days are alright.
well, I'm
I
sure
like
we
the
can.
time.
The time works good for me. I'm sure we can probably organize it through Twitter or
Yeah.
put someone in charge each month and let them pick the date or whatever.
I don't know, Adam. You did a heck of a good job.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah. Me
if
too.
it's
I
not
hit the
broke,
red
don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the cool thing is I've been able to see the whole time who's viewing and who's not. So we've had like 3 or 4 viewers. So hey, watch them live. So yes.
Just gotta get the word out.
I know they missed the best video bomb of all time. So anyhow, I think we can probably choose to end there. We can share the show notes, make it public and on the Google community, and then we'll get in the process of touching base again in a few weeks and setting up March's Google Hangout.
There you go.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
yeah, that's great.
Perfect.
Well, thank you, everybody, for being involved. It was good.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, too.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right, you too.
Yep, you too.